Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called The First Time You Realized America Really Messed You Up, Part 4. So this kind of videos, I think they're really funny. Like usually people like talk about their experiences as Americans like living abroad or people that have lived abroad but then like they move back to the US. But it's usually always it's funny like in a way that's like it's making me laugh, but also it's making me like a little sad because like it messed you up. So that's like okay, that's a depressing thing, but it's a good thing that you're traveling to other places and you're learning that not everything has to be like in a bad way. But I don't know what fresh occasions we're gonna be seeing right now. So let's check it out and comment, like, and subscribe.
You're an American currently living abroad. What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, so unfortunately, I have more than one of these situations because America.
Yeah.
But one that I know specifically that just happened to me recently, I was walking to my car. It was late at night. I was leaving the mall, and this guy was walking behind me, and I was just like, dun 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 dun.
I have to I don't really know like what's the situation like in other places. But I think this, I wouldn't say it's an American thing. Like there's like like especially if it's like late at night and there's like not a lot of people nearby. You like as a woman, I think it's more like being a woman in a society. I think it's not necessarily an American thing. It's more like if I'm a woman and it's late at night and I'm alone and there's like I can see like I'm alone. Like there's not a crowded place and there's like a man like nearby. I would be like, yeah, it's fair. Like you're scared, totally fair. Like it happens, it's like, as a woman, you're a little bit scared of the situation. So I would say it's more about like being a woman and not necessarily being an American. If this is where this is going.
What does he want from me? And I like got in my car and when he walked past, I locked the doors. And I was just like, wait a minute, you're not in North Carolina anymore. And it's so weird because I've been so comfortable here. Like I've went inside of the store and left my car running because it's super hot in Abu Dhabi. And I'm like, let's leave the air going.
Oh, it's Abu Dhabi. Oh my God.
But yeah, America has really made me scared to strangers. Which I mean, it probably should because the world is crazy. But yeah, not in the UAE. It's just not that way.
When I was
That's interesting because I think, yes, the culture of like stranger danger, I think it's a very American thing. That's fair. But again, I don't know, like maybe is it an American thing? Again, I don't know, like if you're scared of strangers, well, not necessarily, like I think it just depends. Like there's like, I don't know, there's like a baseline of when you should go with vibes. Like maybe some things are like, this is kind of weird and I should be scared, but sometimes like it's okay. Not everyone is out to get you. Like that's okay. You shouldn't just go through life thinking like, oh, everyone's trying to harm me. No, that's bad.
Studying abroad in Japan, I got super sick one month and my host family kept telling me to go to the doctor and I kept refusing. And when they asked why, I said because I was scared they're going to send me to the hospital and leave me with this huge bill. And then they quickly had to explain to me that that's not how it works. And if I actually needed to go to the hospital, I would not leave with a $6,000 bill just for IV fluids and ibuprofen.
So as an American living in New Zealand for the last 2 years, I have definitely had a moment of clarity where I realized how the American healthcare system is. So I was watching this cooking show with my boyfriend, and the girl who wanted to win, she wanted to win because she had all these medical bills she needed to pay because she was in a hit and run. So she was hit, obviously, and like her legs got super up. But I was like, wait, why is she paying like $80,000 in medical bills because she got hit? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So safe to say, I don't think I'll be moving back to the States anytime soon, especially since I broke my wrist here and it was completely free. Like, how does that work? America, get your shit together.
She was like, okay, I'm also glad that I broke my wrist in New Zealand and not in the US. Which is like, well, yeah, how lucky you are. But yeah, it sucks for like people that break their wrists, in the US. But it's funny that it took this for her to realize, like she had to move to the other side of the world for her to realize, wow, like the American healthcare system, it sucks. It's a mess, it's a trap, and it shouldn't be like that. But it's funny that it took her moving somewhere else, literally to the opposite side of the planet, to realize it shouldn't be like this.
So, a few weeks after I moved to South Korea, I got pretty sick. I got a pretty gnarly sinus
All of these are like about people getting sick. It's awful.
infection. So, my boss insisted on taking me to the doctor, even though I was like, no, it's fine. I don't need to go. I'll get better. And she took me
like,
to the
no.
doctor, and I have health insurance here in Korea. I have the National Health Insurance Plan. And at the end of my appointment, my boss said to me, oh, it's 5,000. So I heard her say 5,000. 5,000
Dollars?
won is about $5 US. But
Oh.
in my head, there was no way it could have only been 5,000. So I pulled a 50,000 won note out of my wallet and I handed it to her.
How much is
She
that?
tried to give it to the receptionist, and he was like, does she have anything smaller? Like, this is a big bill. And she was like, do you have anything smaller? And I was like, but it's 50. She was like, no, it's $5,000, $5. And I was like, how can a doctor's appointment only be $5?
That's crazy.
When my grandfather was
That's insane, because even like I'm surprised actually by this the amount of money it takes. Like it's South Korea, but even $5, like that's a really that's a very specific, like very small amount. Like that's coffee. Like what is that? It's crazy.
dying, we went to Scotland to go and see, him for one last time. And at one point, my grandfather had a prescription that needed picking up. So I pop out of the car, run into the pharmacy, and I've got my purse on me. I don't have very much money with me. I just didn't. And I went in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm here to pick up for my grandfather. This is his name. And I've got my passport out, ready to hand it to them, like to prove that I'm who I say I am. They're like, oh yeah. How's John doing? Here you go. Here's his stuff. Hey, let him know that if he ever needs help with this, you can just call us. We'll send it on down to him. I said thank you, and then I stood
Like
there.
the
And I'm
medication?
like, why are you still here? I was like, but I need to pay. And they're like, no, you don't. He's old. Everything's free. I never felt more
Oh.
uncomfortable leaving a building than I did in that day. Just, it was awful.
It's like it was awful. I had to leave like without paying anything. I didn't know that. Apparently, I'm guessing after a certain age, like you're just exempt from paying healthcare. That's what it is in Scotland. I didn't know that. That's incredible.
I'm a U.S. citizen currently living in Costa Rica. We have to be careful about the use of the word American since the Americas are continents. Anyway, I have so many examples of how the U.S. me up, specifically Florida. We got to Costa Rica the second.
Florida, again, very interesting place. There's a lot of stuff happening there, but it's funny that she's like more specifically Florida, which is like, yes, Florida again, really interesting place. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But it's funny that she has to like emphasize Florida specifically. I'm very curious.
Second weekend in November. Obviously still deep in the throes in the US with COVID. And coming from Florida where there's so many anti-maskers and COVID deniers, it was surreal to go to these establishments here where everyone's following the Ministry of Health's rules. There's hand washing stations outside of every establishment. There are people taking your temperature to go into grocery stores and certain restaurants. People are giving you distance. Everyone is compliant with masks. And I found myself so defensively postured, ready to argue because I had gotten into so many arguments in Florida with anti-maskers and COVID deniers. It's amazing when people don't politicize a virus.
Since I don't currently live abroad, but I grew up abroad, and I have so many. The first one is Common Core Math. This one didn't mess me up as much when I was living abroad as much as it did when I moved back. Because believe it or not, when I was growing up, I was taught to understand the inner workings of the math. Like, I understood the math. I understood what was happening in the equations. I knew what they meant. But when I came back, the people that were getting A's on tests, like doing the best in math, had no understanding of what was actually happening in the math. I remember having like right on right answers, and I would be getting marked down because I wasn't using the Common Core Math. And then when I tried to use the Common Core Math, I didn't know how to do it because it was just steps, and I didn't understand what was going on in the math, and I wouldn't do well. Like, oh my god.
So I live in.
Okay, that's so sad because it shouldn't be like the teacher's job to realize at some point, no, this person's actually like, I'm not failing you because obviously I don't care if you're not following the steps, because I think the purpose of this should be for you to actually learn what's happening there. And it's okay if you're not following this kind of steps. And obviously, like, again, they're teachers, like they should know there are different methods for doing like certain things. So it's like, yes, of course, this is the one I'm teaching you guys, but if you know something else, and especially someone that lived abroad, and maybe I should ask them, like, hey, you know, maybe speak with their parents or something, like, where, like, oh, can you, like, explain it to me? Oh, yeah, you know, she lived, whatever, she went to school, like, in this place. So it's like, oh, okay, like, it's not that you don't really know. Besides, if you, like, if the answers are right, again, who cares how you, well, yes, you should care. But again, I know that a lot of, like, there's like different methods. Like, this is the one I'm teaching you guys, but like there's several. Like, you shouldn't be just like, this is the only one, unless of course for certain things, like there's just one. But again, there are certain methods, so it is kind of crazy that they were failing her.
In Paris, and 2 months ago I got hit by a taxi relatively hard.
Oh my.
I fell down in the street. All these people came and they picked me up. They brought me over to a bench. Someone from a restaurant brought me a glass of water. Another woman gave me a handful of coins, and I was like, I don't need your money. It's okay. And she was like, sweetheart, this is your money. It fell out of your pockets when you got hit by the taxi.
Oh.
And I was like, so.
I felt a little like giving him money, like, oh, you know, this person, like, it's in need, so maybe I should, like, give them some spare change. Like, why are you giving me money? I should go to the hospital.
The hedgehog vibes, great. The man who hits me goes to call the ambulance, and I said, stop. Do not call the ambulance.
I don't have any money.
$3,000 to $5,000 because that's what an ambulance costs in America.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you talking about? The ambulance is €7. I was like, oh my God. Remind me to twist my ankle on the way home from the club, and they'll give me an IV so I won't be hungover the next day? Catch me at the hospital. This is lit.
Do people actually do that? Do you just like get hooked on an IV so they get like the hangover effects can be like less harsh? I don't know. That's a thing. I've never heard of this.
Answering this, but kind of the opposite. I'm an American who was born abroad and then moved to America. I moved when I was 8, and I went from a really nice school to an American public school. And on the very first day, I came in with a snowsuit in one hand and a pair of slippers in my other hand. I was like, where do I put this down? It looked like,
sweetheart.
No, you don't need a snowsuit for class. What? We lived in Sweden, so if you were going to go to recess, there was a fair chance that you might need a snowsuit sometime. So I was embarrassed, my mom took it back, and then I heard a ding 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 above the speakers. When I tell you I was not prepared for 20 to 30 8-year-olds to stand up in unison, place their hands over their heart, and start chanting together, I don't think I can explain how weird that was. And then, nobody taught me the Pledge of Allegiance. From then on out, they just assumed I knew it. And that's just American arrogance for you.
That's a really weird thing. The Pledge of Allegiance, like, it's a thing that people do. I think obviously it's like, it's very patriotic, and yes, schools do it. I don't know if other places, if other countries have this, because there are, I think, certain places, I think they also, it's not really like that, but it's sort of like a similar thing. It can be a little, I don't know, maybe it's more, they'll tell you like, oh, it's because it's a patriotic thing. But it's like, I don't really see the point, actually. Like, it's just like you, like, again, like, I think that's just like, it can snowball into like actually like worse or bad things, because again, it's like this creates a sense of like, we are the best, like, we are like, I pledge, like, you know, allegiance to the flag and like to my country, and you know, I swear to protect it. Like, it's more like, I don't know, it's kind of like a dark situation. Like, you shouldn't swear on, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's okay, like, you can be patriotic, you can like your country, the country that you're born, or the country that you live, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, calm down. Like, it's just a country, and you know, people, again, it's more. And I get this can be like a subject that can be like discussed, you know, by, you know, can be discussed. Like, there's certain points, but again, usually it's like, calm down. It's a country. You need to chill.
So I live in Stockholm, Sweden, but I'm from Nashville, and I used to have the best job ever in Nashville, but I was always paranoid about getting fired for no reason, because that happened to a lot of people at my company. People get fired and no one would say why. Like, they would just drop in the group chat and be like, this person's not with us anymore. And we'd be like, okay. So when I was applying for jobs in Sweden, I would like tell the employer, I'd be like, oh, job security is really important to me, because I don't want to just like show up one day and find out that I'm fired. They were like, what are you talking about? Like, that's illegal. I was like, huh? And long story short, it's like completely impossible to fire someone like in Sweden. The company has to prove that you either killed somebody or that like employing you will make them bankrupt. It's like so much work to try and fire somebody. But you can quit whenever you want, depending on your contract. But yeah, all my employers were like shocked to hear that I could get fired tomorrow and they didn't have to tell me why. Thanks, Sweden.
Oh, hold on. I think that's weird as well. Not the firing, obviously that's bad, just firing people, yes, of course. And if like a certain, an employer or a certain company has like a higher like turnaround rate, you would start to ask questions, right? Like, how come like they're firing so many people here? It doesn't speak that well of the company. But I don't really know, like, if we should go to extremes of, like, we can't fire them. It's like, what happens if, like, this person's a bad employer? Not to the sense of, like, they're killing people, they're psychopaths, but maybe, like, they're not doing their jobs properly. You can't fire them? I think that's bad as well. It's like, well, both extremes are bad. I don't know, that's just me, but both things, like, we should have a middle ground.
I chose to do this even though I'm a Canadian and we have free healthcare, but the reason I'm doing it is because everyone talks about healthcare with this stitch, and guess what? I'm in Greece. I'm in Europe. Okay, so 2015, I'm in Europe. I've got bilateral pneumonia, both lungs full. 2 months in, I'm seeing no signs it's getting better. I can't breathe. I can't even walk 10 steps. I'm out of breath. I'm like, can't do any. Finally, it's life or death. I mean, I gotta go to the hospital, I gotta bite the bullet, whatever they're gonna charge me in Greece, I gotta pay it. So I show up at the hospital, they put me on this ventilator thing, they got my airways opened up, they did x-rays, I still got the x-rays. They did blood work, they did everything. They told me what I had, they gave me 3 different types of meds, and when I go to leave, you know how much they charge me? €5. It's about $6 American dollars. What?
So about a year ago, I ended up going to the emergency room here in the US because I had really bad asthma and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And all they told me to do at the emergency room was to take some allergy pills. Some that I already had at home, and then they just sent me home. And it ended up being $2,000, including insurance. Back up to 2 years ago, I was in China and I had to go to the emergency room for the exact same thing. And I was like, thank God I got the study abroad health insurance because I'm going to the emergency room right now and I'm really afraid how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Ended up going to the emergency room, and in the end, I paid $4 without the insurance. Didn't even need it. It was $4.
Yes, this is what I mean. It's funny, but at the same time, it's like, oh my god, this sucks. Like, it's such a sad situation because I think especially like I think of like so many people that do not get the opportunity to actually like experience like the other side of the coin, or that again, or even them, because maybe a lot of them were moving, they're just like living abroad. But like some of them have to move back. So it's like, oh my god, so what happens like when you really do have to go to the hospital, you have a medical emergency, and now you have to go to like, it's the US rules. So I have to go with the American way. And after like, knowing how it was in other places, I think it's kind of like, it's a cruel situation. Obviously, like, it's not something that you can avoid. Like, it's just like a matter, it's a fact of life. But it's like, it sucks. I don't really know if it would be maybe like better. I don't know what would be worse. It's like when they say like, it's better to like live in ignorance, like ignorance is bliss. Maybe in certain points it's like it's better like I lived in ignorance, because if I wouldn't, again, I would be super concerned like, oh yeah, I think it's just like that in other places. So it's like, well, maybe it's better, because now if you have to move back, like, you know how it is, and you're gonna be like, I do know for a fact, like they say, oh yes, it was like €5 in this country, in this city, in this whatever. But if you move back, if you ever move back and you have a medical situation, you know that no, I have to pay like $2,000 for the ambulance, or again $2,000 for like a hospital visit, in which like they did nothing. So it is kind of like, no, again, maybe I would have been better off just like never learning that there was like something else. Like sometimes like the grass is truly it's greener on the other side, not always, but like when you're talking healthcare, and United States, it's one of those situations where, yes, I can assure you, like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's like few places that have like worse healthcare than the US. they do exist, yes, not in Europe, but there are certain places in other countries that again do have the healthcare that is definitely worse than the US, but it's like few of them. And I think what's really, I think probably most shocking is that the US, because it's a very it's a developed country, it's one of the most powerful countries in the world, so you wouldn't expect that to happen from one of those countries. Like you're expecting like worse healthcare from other places in which you're like, well, it's like, as a country, like they are not, I don't want to say poor, but they're underdeveloped, or they're underdeveloped nations, so you're maybe like expecting like the healthcare is maybe not as good. But that's sort of like and sometimes it can surprise you as well. But sometimes what I mean is that you have that mentality of like the US. If you don't really know anything, you're like, well, it's the US. Like, of course, it's gonna be like good healthcare. They have money. It's a really powerful country. It's like, well, guess again. So it's kind of like insane to me to think of like the US. And I know it's a reality. And again, you sort of like know because you're used to this. But if you really do like take a step back and realize how weird it is for a country that big, and that big as in not in actual like population, but in that big as in like one of the most powerful countries in the world, to actually have like this, like the quality of the healthcare being like so bad, and it doesn't really protect the actual people that live there and actual citizens and American citizens. It's crazy. It's like again, like take a step back and realize how weird it is for a country that's so, again, they have money and they just do not care about fixing this. It's like one of the probably like the number one thing they should be fixing. It's the healthcare system, because it's crazy that again the government and people, and I think it's more like, I don't know, it's because people in the government sometimes have tried to do so, but it's more about like, I don't know, it's in their culture. I don't really know like the history of the American healthcare system and why is it the way it is. But it's shocking that it's just the way of life, and it's just like the way that, it's like everyone's used to this. But like, hasn't anyone tried to like change this? Like, I mean, an actual person, the government has had to change this. I don't know. I think it's just like the insurance companies. Like, I think they're doing lobby, and I don't know, like because they're the ones that end up winning here. But it's crazy again, because American citizens, like they should be getting like better healthcare, because again, it's the United States. Like, it's not just a random country in the middle of nowhere. And not that those people do not deserve actual healthcare, because obviously they do. Everyone should have it. But again, it's kind of wild thinking of this. It's like, what do you mean you're such a powerful country, but you can't really offer like basic healthcare to your citizens? That's a conundrum that I don't think I can ever like wrap my head around this. But I think it's like all of them, I think, were probably like having to do with healthcare, and that's what like it's a really sad thing. But it's funny, the Pledge of Allegiance, like I think that was really, really funny. And this no suit one, I think those are probably like the funniest, as in just funny, as in like funny, weird, and that's it, and not actually, wow, this is depressing, because it has to do with actual like health. I think those were really funny, especially because the little girl, like they lived in Sweden, which I am guessing, although I don't really know, like I think maybe it's other places besides Stockholm, because my understanding is that not all places in Sweden like get that amount of snow, so maybe she didn't live in Sweden. But it's crazy, and I imagine like it's such a sweet thing, like such a little girl just coming with her snowsuit, and everyone looking at her like, what on earth is this woman doing? Well, this girl doing? And it's gonna be like so embarrassing, obviously, because she was I think 8, so I can imagine everyone in the classroom being like, such a weird girl. Like, she just started here, she's coming from other place, from another country. And also, like, she brought a snowsuit. Like, oh my god, you will never, like, hear the end of it. It's like, what's up with that? And didn't, like, her parents know that's not a normal thing? It would be kind of, like, again, it's, like, sweet in a way that's, like, oh no, so embarrassing. But again, it's just, like, embarrassing, and that's it. And also, like, again, the Pledge of Allegiance, so weird to see it, like, again, that, well, not as weird, I think, again, if you take a step back and analyze this, seeing as the US actually is, like, they're pretty big on, like, America, the greatest country on earth, and everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people, the medium American thinks, the average American think it's obviously, has the constant thinking of, like, the US is, like, the greatest, like, country in the world, and, we can't do no wrong, and we're the center of the universe. So that's, again, it makes sense of, like, well, if you think about it like this, of course you have to, like, how do you get those kind of people? Well, they have to do, like, you have to teach them as kids, that this is, like, America is the only place that you can do this, and America is the greatest country on earth. that's what you should do, the Pledge of Allegiance. It's like you're creating like little clones, a little army that obviously is not going to be an army, but I think it's kind of crazy because then you kind of like, I don't know, you sort of like associate those kind of things with like dictatorships or like communist like regimes. You don't associate those kind of things with democracies. And I think that's probably like what's tripping you out of this. It's like, yes, it's weird that America does it because they're a democracy. So it is like, again, you kind of like associate that with like other, you know, like fascism, or again, it's just like dictatorships. So it is like kind of weird that the United States actually does it. It's kind of weird. But this was very funny and also sad. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.